Good morning and welcome to my hobby table YouTube studio once again. So yesterday, probably about 22 or 23 hours ago, I made a community post just with a poll on it asking those that read those posts which one of four engines would you prefer to see me do another disassembly, bearing exchange, or bearing replacement and reassembly video series on. And of course I listed four, and I'm going to post those results here. So before I post those results, I just want to say that, so I know it was only 23 hours ago or so maybe that I posted that, but in reality I could wait another 2 or 3 days to get more results. But in all honesty, my life moves so fast and I've got so many things going on that I don't have the time to sit and wait for the poll to mature, I guess, as you could say, for another 2, 3 days, 4 days, a week or so before I move on, because there's just things happening all the time here. So I threw that out there just to quickly see if I got some results. As of now, and I'm going to put it up right now, I've got 47 people that voted and 2 comments. So I'll just let you look at the results. And based on those results, I am going to go with the one that is leading, which is my OS FT-240 Super Gemini engine. So before I go to the table and show you that, I'm not actually going to begin the disassembly. I'm just going to kind of set it up, the preliminaries of this series. So the reason I'm doing this is because it's winter time and I'm looking for content to post to try to keep the channel going and not sit dormant. But as I speak today or this weekend, the weather is going to be getting up in near the 40s. Is that going to last? I don't know. In Wisconsin, you can never say. So we're going to have a thaw, at least to some degree, and all the snow that's on the ground is going to be gone. Does that mean I'm going to be running engines before the end of the year or before the end of the month? Probably not. So I'm still looking at doing indoor videos for at least the next month and a half or 2 months before I actually start running things outside. With that said, that's why I'm doing going through a lot of these engines that have been sitting around. So this particular engine is actually, I don't know, I'd have to go back and look and see, probably 5 or 6 years old. It was a gift given to me. So it's one that it was given to me and it was new. And I'm the only one that's run the engine, I believe. I'd have to go back and look at that very first video. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that's ever run this engine. It's in fantastic shape, but it's just giving me an opportunity to go through it. It feels a little gummy. And with all that said, let's go straight to the table and I'll set up this series and how I'm going to kind of organize things. And then if I have time later today, I'll start part 2. I'm going to call this part 1. Start part 2 where I actually start doing some disassembly. Okay, so here we have it. This is my OS FT-240 Super Gemini engine. And you can see how big this thing is. In fact, if I put it on this thing here, it spans, let's see, 5 inches. It's almost probably, 11 inches wide. So with that comes some things here. Obviously, it's a twin cylinder engine. I've got several containers out here that I'm going to use to segregate parts. So I was sitting here earlier today, and I'm just going to keep flipping this around so you can see how beautiful this is. Looking at it, trying to figure out what's the most logical approach to disassembling this engine. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I'm going to reference left and right cylinders as if I'm the pilot and the prop is here. So whenever I reference left and right cylinders as far as my containers and stuff, that's what I'm going to be referring to. So one of the things I'm going to really have to try to maintain is that when I'm disassembling it, I don't want to be doing this. Like, say, I want to look at the carb and take the carb. I don't want to do that. I really need to maintain doing this and keep it on this axis so that I don't get confused, because it is easy to do. It's easier to do than you think. So I was looking at it, I was like, okay, how am I going to go about disassembling this? And in the past, I would usually start with taking the mount off. But I think this time I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to leave this mount on and take basically the carb off, exhaust, and then the heads. And the heads are two-piece heads. So you got this part, and then you got the cylinder. You got the head, and you got the cylinder. And the reason I'm going to do it is right here. And this is exactly why. Because that mount gives me a great and fairly stable platform to sit and inspect and disassemble things. So I'm going to take carb intake off first, exhaust, and then just choose a head and just start taking the head apart and then segregating them. So right now I'm going to put this right up here and I'm going to zoom way out. And this is where I get a lot of flack from people, and I really don't care. So I've got several containers here. I've got these two containers that say left and right. So when I'm doing this one's going to be over here, this one's going to be over here, or just the one that I'm using is going to be here. And these two containers are for the bigger pieces, the head, cylinder, and that type of thing. So basically that stuff. That's all those containers are going to be used for. Then I have this container here, which I've used for smaller twin cylinder engines. And it's got 6 compartments, and I've got it labeled left, 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 right, right, right. So this will be for smaller pieces, like, you know, the exhaust, which is really irrelevant. There's no right or left to the exhaust, but I can throw those in there anyway, I guess. But like push rods, tappets, those types of things. Now this is where people get all over me all the time, and people are like, you don't keep your tappets straight from intake, or from, you know, intake to exhaust. It's like, no, I don't. Because when have I have never ever seen uneven wear or even wear on a tappet or a push rod. So I don't believe that in my application for these low time engines, or for really any twin cylinder glow engine, unless it's got hundreds of hours on it, that maintaining the integrity of left and right push rods and tappets makes any sense. So no, I don't do that. And if you don't like that, I don't really care. But that's the way I do it, because I've done this so many times that I've never seen wear patterns on those. It's the same thing with rocker arms. So this is going to be for the small pieces. And then I've got one final container, which will be for the bigger stuff, the mount. Intake manifolds, pretty much you can't go wrong with those. I mean, there's really only one way that they can go. I might just put a piece of tape on those and just label them left and right, because they're too big to really kind of, I mean, they could probably fit in these containers, I suppose. But common parts, carb mount, crankcase, engine mount. The engine mount is not really left or right oriented. It's just a matter of knowing. It looks like they're symmetrical, actually. It looks like those mounts are completely symmetrical, so I don't think it matters there at all. Common things like the prop hub. So this is common, or one piece of the system type of things. So that is the next series here will be featuring this engine. Now, does this engine really need new bearings? It's had them in there. I've always put after-run oil in here, but there was about, I don't know, 6 months or so ago, I thought I was going to start doing a disassembly on it, and one of these fasteners here on the back cover was so tight, I ended up stripping the head on it, and I got so pissed that I just put it away for another 3 or 4 months until I found a replacement screw, and then I just pulled it out one day and extracted that screw. So I was going to do this well over a year ago, but hadn't got around to it. So I do have a set of Boca bearings for this thing, so it's only got 3 bearings in it. So it should be a fun disassembly to do. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to able to get started on it today or not, but that's what's up on the table. The other 3 engines that were in that poll are going to be done here very soon. In fact, at least 1 or 2 of them will probably be done next month. Just because that's the way it goes, and I've got time to refurbish a lot of engines now with the weather and the season. So anyway, that's a part 1 of this next engine disassembly and reassembly video series.